Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pro Wrestling World Talks with Dan and Mac.
Good evening. Dave, why are you interrupting me? Damn it, Meltzer.
I mean, I feel like that's par for the course for how their shows go.
It is par for the course, yes. Dave interrupting me at the beginning of our program here. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're listening. Either it's on YouTube, Spotify, or on Apple Podcasts as well, or wherever you get your podcasts nowadays. I am your host of PWB Talks, Dale Burke, and I am joined, of course, by my best friend of over 20 years and also finally been able to get him back into the wrestling scene within the last couple of years, and I am talking about Mac. Thank you again for joining me again tonight here on the program.
Yeah! Not a problem. Yeah. It's been an interesting week after
couple. Yes.
Like the last couple, we're riding high, going to Bash in Berlin, going to what was it? I don't even remember the NXT show at this point. But God,
No Mercy. Yes,
No Mercy. I keep wanting to say Judgment Day, and I'm like, no, that's a stable now. That's not a pay-per-view anymore.
Yes.
But it's been a couple of weeks for the WWE, both going into and coming out of both shows. Both brands, I feel like, or all three brands, however you want to call it, have been riding high. And then we had All Out this weekend.
We remained silent on AEW last week. On purpose.
On purpose.
That was actually part of our ploy. We were just like, all right, we're just not going to talk about him at all. So we talked about him very, very sparingly as the light has gone on. Like the screensaver for Roku has now kicked on.
I thought you were just setting the mood.
It went from a blue. Yes, actually it was. It's almost like perfect timing as I'm going from the light and also the fortune of Triple H and WWE. And considering the fact that they have just finished, last Friday was their last night on Fox Television.
Yep. So
that contract is officially over, and now they are moving over beginning tomorrow. Because we record on Thursdays. Beginning tomorrow, they will be now on USA for SmackDown. And the first match for SmackDown on USA will be Solo Sikoa and Cody Rhodes in a steel cage. It is going to open up tomorrow on the show, tomorrow night on SmackDown, which only means they have that thing packed to the gills as far as appearance is concerned. When you're starting a match, starting out the entire card with your world championship match for your top prize, including your top superstar in the company right now in Cody Rhodes, not Solo Sikoa.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Fuck you, Solo. It's become perfectly clear that tomorrow they have a massive plan to try to get a big number on Friday nights on USA, but also trying to get some buzz behind it as well.
So if I'm not mistaken, it's also a 3-hour show.
I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. What has been confirmed?
I'll check. Go ahead.
What has been confirmed this week, however, is that Raw starting in a few. When is that starting? In November or October? Or is it starting like next week? It is now. They are going. The one thing that WWE fans has been talking about now for a very long time, and we have mentioned it on this program. I have mentioned it elsewhere. I have talked about that. The one thing that has hindered Raw the last 10, 15 years or so has been the fact that it has been a 3-hour show. That now is ending. They are now going back to 2 hours, which kind of at this point, I don't know if it's necessity. It'll be interesting now that both their shows is done at 10 o'clock. But also, too, that's going to be happening with NXT when that switches over to the CW network, which should be happening in a few weeks. But that's going to be a huge show because that's going to be in Chicago, and CM Punk has already said he is going to be there as well. So that is the good news as WWE is concerned. We'll probably get more to that later. But tonight we needed the majority of the program to kind of rant a little bit, an old-fashioned AEW rant. A few weeks ago, we talked about All In, and to be quite honest, and I said it here, I thought it was a very good show for them and their audience. I felt like it gave them enough to kind of set them in the right direction. So Saturday night came 2 weeks after your big stadium show of the year, and you're in Chicago again, which seems to be like a consistent, almost like quarterly. They're there almost every 3 months, I feel like, which proves that, again, considering the fact that they just had a pay-per-view there, and then they had Collision, and I think Dynamite was there the week before. The fact that Dynamite will be there Thanksgiving Eve again this year, which has been their tradition now for the last 4 or 5 years. I think probably the 4th year they're going to be doing this now in a row. So they're going back to Chicago again. The gates have been kind of dwindling as far as that is concerned. I do not think they sold out. I do not think they hit 10K in Chicago this past weekend either.
Well, I can tell you, if Wikipedia is right, it was under 10K for sure.
Collision also did not draw
it didn't.
What it should have as well. So what came out of the show, the majority of it was predictable. I expected Bryan Danielson to retain the championship. I expected Mercedes Moné to retain and also probably have the worst match in the show. I also expected the Young Bucks to retain. Like, there were a lot of things that I expected to happen that happened. When your opening match is Daniel Garcia versus MJF, and you make the decision MJF is going to be taking some time off to do something, some side project, and so you have to write him off television, and you just had Daniel Garcia get made a complete ass out of as a babyface on more than one occasion from MJF. And by the way, you're trying to keep Daniel Garcia, or he's already re-signed with you anyways. So, of course, you're going to have Daniel Garcia lose to MJF. When MJF is taking time off and Daniel Garcia is going to be on your television. And the reason I have to pound my chair is because this absolutely makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. And if this was the worst thing to happen on the show, I could at least sit there and be like, well, I question this extremely highly, but there's at least, this is the worst. If this is the worst thing to come out of this show, then all right. But no, it's the fact that they wrote him off with this injury angle, which probably should have happened in the match itself instead of happening after Daniel Garcia lost to MJF. And then you do the injury angle where MJF is going to take some time off. By the way, it just feels like that he came back a month ago at this point. So it's like, really? So it was like a quick pop in, got a couple of pay-per-views in. Now I'm going to go off and do another project. Okay, great. You know, this the whole big thing about the war of 2024 to try to get that negotiation going. Boy, that really worked out great for you, didn't it, kid? I mean, you're in a half-empty building. You pretty much regress as a character. You're not you're the character that you were in 2019 and 2020. And so there's no evolution of that character. It's just still back there. I mean, it wasn't like it was a year ago when you were somewhat a beloved babyface and you had all the momentum in the world with Adam Cole. Mind you, that got, subsided because of Adam Cole's injury, but also that devil storyline really did a number on your drawing power as well. Like it did. Because where has that gone? And it's not just the fact that it was one devil. It was the fact that it was this whole stable that no one gives a shit about at this point. Like none of them. Nobody that is involved with it. I mean, they brought Adam Cole in for a pay-per-view just to have MJF beat him up and kind of end that feud. So does that mean when Adam Cole finally comes back from injury, they're not going to conclude that because it's already technically concluded? Holy shit. Like, really? Whatever.
I mean, what the
Again,
fuck is
this
that?
wasn't the worst part
Like,
of
what
the
is
show.
that?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for your comments. But
I mean, it's factual. Though. I mean,
it is.
You're at that point with this.
It's getting to that point. And again, this wasn't the worst thing on the show.
No.
We get to Bryan Danielson defeating Jack Perry. Yes, this is predictable. That's fine. Completely predictable. I completely understand this decision. And then Claudio Castagnoli with the uppercut on Bryan Danielson. Jon Moxley then decides to put his head in a bag. Not just a regular, felt bag. It was a plastic bag a la 35 years ago, Terry Funk versus Ric Flair. Mind you, this happened on a Clash of the Champions. So it was on TBS when that happened. And TBS was furious about it. This was on a pay-per-view. But it was still just jarring to the mind that someone would actually think about doing this in this era now. And the fact, too, that it just we're in a hypersensitive culture. I'm not saying that, and it was also something I would have.
Hold on. Let me stop you for a second, right? Because part of why I'm laughing is knowing you as well as I know you and how passionate we both are about wrestling in the first place. But the other reason I'm kind of like snorting a little bit laughing right now, even though you can't tell, is right behind you, the way you have Alf situated above your head is fucking hilarious. Because it looks like he's just fucking watching over you right now.
Yes.
And kind of laughing himself even as well.
Because he is. Because that's his job. Like he's on the couch. He is Andy Richter and Ed McMahon all wrapped into one behind me. He's pretty much just sitting there. Just, like he's just there. He laughs and gags. You just hear him every so often. You could just hear in the distance to go, ha! Like the old fucking shit. I also like how I have him placed right next to my quarter scale Michael Myers figure. It's like, this is a complete. It's literally, I have different iconographies in this room now, and it's only going to get more. If you think that this is crazy, oh boy, folks, I've got some plans. But the fact is that this was one of the stupidest things I have ever seen by a major wrestling company in my lifetime because of a factor of reasons. One, you're in the midst of a media negotiation for the media rights deal. So I really don't want to fucking do this. But you know what? There's something worse that happens in the main event that's worse than this. But I digress of why I wouldn't do the plastic bag spot in this culture, like right now. So there's the media rights deal, which I'll get into more greater, but that's a point that needs to be stated, considering the fact that nothing has been pen to paper yet. Nothing has been announced, even though Dave will tell you, right, Dave?
No.
I
don't know. It might be zero.
Yeah, exactly. It might be zero. No contracts have been signed, Dave. I know that you're saying that contracts have been signed, but there's nothing been announced. There's been no pen to paper. There's only been speculation. Why at this point? It is going to be September 15th on Sunday. Why at this point, when your contract, I believe, ends at the end of this month, the beginning of next month, why hasn't anything been hammered out? Why hasn't you realized with your depleting ratings that anything has been hashed out? But again, I'm going to get to more of that later. because I need to talk about this. I wouldn't have done that because of the media rights negotiations that you're going with. I also wouldn't have done it because, again, with pro wrestling and kids watching it, that's something you should never, like, they put it on plastic bags. Keep away from children. Kids mimic things, though. They do. They did when the Three Stooges was on. There were kids that jumped out windows with fucking towels wrapped around their necks, thinking they were Superman when Superman was on. This is a culture where kids watch stuff and they do dumb shit. For Christ's sake, there was a trend, and kids actually did this, of eating fucking Tide Pods.
Oh, God, yeah, I forgot about that one.
And you're going to sit here and put a plastic bag over another wrestler's head. What? You have to think about, you have to think about stuff like this. You have to think about the impact that you have, because now people, it's not just fucking pay-per-views. It's not just television. It's now TikTok. It's now Twitter. It's Instagram. It's Facebook. It's every social media platform you could think of that is going to replay that. It's probably all over Reddit as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
There's probably a whole subreddit about it right now. They're just going on and on about it. How, it is a moment that is going to live in the industry, the annals of time, for all the wrong reasons. And I guarantee you it drew you nothing.
Yeah.
If anything, it probably hurt you. And the main reason why it hurt you is because of the fact that this industry has dealt with suicide and death for the last 35 to 40 years. How many of the talent, unfortunately, that were in the midst of substance abuse problems, early versions of CTE, other chemicals maybe that they were dealing with, and they decided to end their own life. Suffocation for accidental deaths. I could think of Louis Cipicoli. I could think of Crash Holly, who choked on his own vomit. That's how he died. So, yeah, suffocation in the wrestling business. Yeah, let's just bring that out. Go ahead. That's not going to make anybody uncomfortable. Bryan Danielson only has kids sitting at home. Yeah, let's just put daddy in a fucking... Oh, is daddy okay? Well, I'm not supposed to do that. Mommy, you told us we shouldn't do that. Why is his daddy being put in a goddamn bag? I don't know. Bree's probably too busy dealing with Nikki's bullshit right now. Yes, Nikki, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're going through this. God, I have fucking 2 kids to raise. And my husband's an idiot.
Tell us how you really feel today. Good.
Just, hey, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
Look, I'm pissed. I'm mad. I'm annoyed. And I'm watching people that I respect going on the internet trying to defend this shit. And try to make everybody, oh, if you liked it in 1989, I was fucking 5 years old in 1989, asshole. I didn't know any better. Plus, at the same time, I wasn't watching fucking WCW at that point. Because they never would have done that in WWE. What am I talking about? They put Ultimate Warrior in the fucking coffin.
Mae Young gave birth to a hand. I mean, come on.
They put Ultimate Warrior in a coffin. They locked him in a casket. And then they had Warrior get bitten by a cobra. And then they had
All right.
They had Macho Man get bitten by a cobra on a Saturday morning Superstars one day. And this was all in a period of 6 months.
Yeah.
And I'm fucking complaining about a bag over the head, but it's just the difference is that that's memorable. That's fucking, those moments are memorable. This isn't going to be memorable because that's the problem with AEW booking. Nobody remembers anything in 3 months. Actually, I feel like it's week to week.
You know what? I don't even want to say that because I feel like there are some that are. Like, you know, like you look at this card, you look at the matches that some of them had. I didn't watch the whole card. I didn't watch the whole matches in some cases. But I thought that Ospreay and Pac was phenomenal.
Of course it was.
I expected that to be.
Of course.
I would even argue that the four-way match for the Continental Championship was phenomenal as well. And the right person won, just saying.
Yes.
You know.
Shut up, bitches.
But the rest of it was either stupid booking decisions, meh booking decisions, and just those moments that we're talking about of what the actual hell. Like,
I mean,
I get it, but you have a point.
They're doing Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho again. Didn't you do this during the pandemic?
I mean, even if they did, why would I want to see that in the first place?
You had the Marmosa in a fucking tank match.
Oh my god.
That was the finish of that. Like, that's how that ended. Was Jericho floating in a fucking thing of Marmosa. That's how it ended. That was how that feud ended.
Oh,
that was like 3 years ago.
I get it. That's stupid. Though.
Yeah, because he's an alcoholic, so of course they're just like, we have to put champagne in there.
Yeah, it's orange juice and alcoholism. Come on now.
Of course.
Oh, Jesus.
Fucking, I've never seen a guy fallen so far in this industry as far as being a major talent without causing. Let me just say this. I've never seen a guy fall faster without having to kill someone or himself. How about that? That's Chris Jericho. That's the way I look at his legacy as far as this industry is concerned, because he's a fucking moron fraud. And I understand what he's doing. He's taking the Mark's money. And I get that. I get all of that because you have these ideas. The problem is that you're done. It's over. No one wants to see you anymore. Go home, take your fucking money, and stay there. And go make shitty music with Fozzy. That's it. That's your career now. Go get your Hall of Fame induction, and that's it.
He literally could have been on a Legends contract by now.
He could have.
And still tour with Fozzy and be making probably decent money on both. It's just,
he could go do the Rumble every couple of years, once a year. He could get a match at Mania every so often. He can do the Saudi shows, get paid a bunch of money, get a Hall of Fame induction, be in the video game that someone will actually play. Like, and you should have that legacy. Like, you should. Because at one time, you were very good, if not great.
Yep.
But the fact is that I'm going to look at this legacy in the last 5-6 years, and I'm going to say, this is a fucking joke.
He blew it.
You had the chance to prove everyone wrong in saying, I can do this on my own. I am that talented. I can do this on my own. And you know what? For a bit, it worked. And then it just became rinse and repeat. Like after the first year, maybe two, people started to see the flaws. People started to see the shine.
Hold on. When you say that, you mean in AEW, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just clarifying because, if we're talking his first couple years
of
WWE, then I don't think that's accurate. And when he went back, I don't think that's accurate either. But in AEW, yeah, I think it's 100% accurate.
I've always thought he's been moderately overrated. Not severely, but moderately overrated. I've always felt that. There's been a lot of, he's never been one of my favorites. Never been. I respect his talent. I respect him as from what he's contributed to the industry. But as far as the entire package of Chris Jericho, I've never been really a fan. I never have. I've never gone. Jericho is not someone I'm going to pay to see. He's just one of those guys to me. It's just, he's there. He's fucking Jericho. He's there. And that's how I feel about him. And that's nothing against him as a talent, because there's a lot of people I think that would sit there and be like, oh, he's one of my favorites of all time. Good for you. He's not for me. I just sit there and I look at him and I'm just like, it's fucking Jericho. But yeah, I mean, that whole feud is a rehash. And then on top of that, this is the interesting trajectory that this whole fucking thing leads up to in the main event. You have Swerve Strickland, who up until 2 weeks ago was your world champion. And my thought process was, yes, Bryan Danielson should beat him at All In. If you're going to do that match, even though I thought it should have been Ospreay and Strickland, because I felt like because here's the thing now, Ospreay, the way he wrestles, he is, at any point, something can blow on him, and that's it. And I feel like now that they're not going to be at Wembley Stadium next year, 2 years is a long time. And who knows if they're going to be exist in 2 years, let's face it. I mean, because I want to know the numbers on how much money they're going to lose this year. That's all I'm going to say. But the fact is that Swerve Strickland this year, he got through this feud with Hangman Page, and that was it. I thought that was over because he became world champion. All of a sudden now he's just in the midst of his reign where it's almost like he's an afterthought. And then instead of Will Ospreay, it's Danielson and it's Swerve. Swerve is also from Tacoma, that Washington area. So I was thinking, oh, Danielson and Swerve at Dynasty, it's Dynasty. And then, or Dream, I think it's Wrestling. Their names are shit. Shitty pay-per-view names. They all sound terrible.
The next
I think
one is Wrestle Dream.
It's Wrestle Dream.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's in Tacoma. Both guys are from Washington. Big matchup. This will be huge moment. But obviously, instead of doing that, which I think would be huge money for the Tacoma show. You'd sell the building out because you got two guys, and especially if it's going to be Danielson's supposed retirement match. So that happens, but that's not probably going to happen now because of the fact that Swerve is going to be taking time off because he lost in the main event to Hangman Page. And the reason that I am so annoyed with the way that this match was constructed was because of the fact that you have, once again, Hangman Adam Page, I feel like taking... This is at least the fifth or sixth time that he has done something that if he was in WWE, he would have been fired for. He would have been fired. I can recount the incident on Good Friday when he had the match with Adam Cole, the non-sanctioned one, where he put the crown of thorns around his head like barbed wire. And of course, that was taped for a Good Friday show.
I think it's hilarious because I just knew you were going to bring that one up.
If it happened 20 years earlier, he would have been fired. Not only by them, but by any wrestling company because of just it's the fact now that it's not that really isn't considered that big of a deal.
I don't want to say it that way, but I think that also we've become as a nation, as a people, a little bit more
Numb to it?
tolerant to intolerance.
Yes.
Yeah, numb is another way to say that. That might be more lay terminology for what I said, but in comparison. But yeah, you're right. We have become numb to it. We just are incredibly desensitized to it. But I think you're right that he probably would have been fired. And arguably probably should have been even now.
Oh, without question.
Because despite that, not feeling the same way as we might have 20 years ago about it, I don't think it's a gimmick or a plot or anything that WWE would have been like, yeah, jab him with a needle in his mouth. Like, I think if he did that spot without asking, he'd probably get fired.
Fucking, they used a real cinder block, which caused real bruising.
Yeah.
That
Ugly.
That looked ugly and also just disastrous. That could have gone bad real quickly. The syringe spot, which we talked about, which again, I was thinking about earlier. I was thinking about the Jeff Hardy and the Randy Orton incident with the screwdriver. That was intense. But at the same time, Jeff Hardy was in a position with his piercings. He knew the tolerance level and also knew that was probably something that was rehearsed. It looked gruesome on TV, but also too, that had no blood to it. Like it was just but it just looked fucking brutal, but it was genius at the same time. Like it really showed just the brilliance of that spot that Orton was able to come up with that even. And I'm sure Jeff Hardy did as well. It was probably, I think, like Jeff Hardy's last great hurrah in WWE, to be quite honest, that Hell in a Cell match with Orton. But all of that pales in comparison to the syringe spot with Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland for a number of reasons. One, because of the fact that there's a huge population that are afraid of needles. My significant other is severely scared of needles. And the absolute thought and audacity of someone, a performer, and I said this in a group chat to someone this week. I said, if that would have been me, I said both guys would have been fined and they would have had to work at a recovery center volunteer at a recovery center for 100 hours or something, because that was bullshit. Absolute, utter. There's no excuse for that spot in this industry. Fucking none. And don't give me this ECW shit either, because they never pulled anything like that. Never to that. There's just certain things, certain levels you can't fucking cross. And that to me is one of them. Because we're talking about bloodborne passages here. We're talking about biohazard fucking shit that we're going with.
This is actually what I was actually about to say, and then I realized, hey, I'm muted. I literally thought of that, what you're saying right now. Because if we went back, say 30, 40 years ago, something like that, we have HIV and AIDS, which is considered a pandemic at that point, or epidemic, whatever the term was. It literally would scare people to death. And you look at that and you compare that 30, 40 years later to this spot, and you're 100% right. It's like, holy crap, what if there's something in that needle? What if there's diseases on that needle? These guys are not doctors or anything. They don't know what a sterile needle probably is. So unless they got a pack of clean needles somewhere, that would be one of my concerns. Are you jabbing me with some freaking illness? Am I gonna get the plague from this? It's just fucked up. And COVID's another one where it's people don't want to get shots. They don't want to get the shots, whether it be the flu shot, a COVID shot, whatever, because of all the things that they feel about needles, whether it be because they're anti-vaxxers, it's because they're just straight up afraid of them and don't even have tattoos because of the fear of needles, whatever the case may be. And putting this out there, I thought was just so stupid. And there's other ironies to it that I can discuss that I'm just not gonna do. But needless to say, I thought this was just unnecessary. It's just completely unnecessary.
And this is after the plastic bag spot, which that was already at that point jarring to people's psyche, and then to see that in the very next match, you're just like, what the fuck am I watching?
I'm not trying to be like a dick about it, but I can get past the plastic bag. We've seen it. It's been a long time, but we've seen it. We've seen other fucked up shit, like Kane with the car battery on Shane.
Oh God!
We've seen some shit, man. But I can get past some of that stuff. We've seen sledgehammers, and listen, Triple H is protecting that shot. But still, we've seen chair shots. We've become desensitized to them almost, I would say, since the Attitude Era. But at the same token, that's why I'm able to get past that and the cinder block. The cinder block was rough, don't get me wrong, but I'm able to kind of see past it a little bit.
Yes, I agree in the sense that the cinder block and the plastic bag, I've seen them before. I don't like it, but I can get past it.
100% agree. 100% agree. But then
I can't get past.
I can't even. I
can't do it. Like, it's just
with the connotation that I could think of that I'm not going to say. There's reasons I don't want to get canceled, basically. Hey, stabbing somebody with a needle, it's gross. There's so much that we could say, like the bloodborne illness thing. You're injecting dirt into yourself because we don't know if it was clean or sterile or whatever else. Yeah, you can be like, oh, it's safe. Well, Tony Khan-owned industries like the Jacksonville Jaguars do not have the best medical record. Just throwing that out there.
Well, I mean, neither does their medical staff for the company.
Well, that's my point.
It's just... How many times have they misdiagnosed concussions in that company? Which both guys are definitely concussed. They're it's...
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not even... Those guys... And I have respect for Swerve Strickland. I love the guy. I think he's great.
Listen, I don't hate Adam Page. I don't like him either.
I fucking can't stand him.
I know you can't, but there's things I can get past, like I said. And I do like Swerve. Swerve is incredibly talented. He's in my opinion, one of those guys that went to AEW after WWE that WWE should have 100% re-signed.
Oh, without question.
Can't say that for all of them, obviously, but for him, 100% they should have re-signed him. But then,
Ah! Go drop her in my lap.
We had a camera too for the cat. Hey, Daria.
Hi, Daria.
Hi, shithead.
Hi, shithead.
I know Dan's cat. I'm allowed to say that.
He is. Yeah.
Love you.
I love you.
I love you.
Oh, I guess
I love you.
No.
Max says he love you.
Love you.
Love
I love you.
Make sure Kelly doesn't. flip out.
I've already warned her. We're good to go. Hopefully, I think it's still gonna happen.
Good night, honey.
All right. Real quick.
I feel so bad.
Yeah, I will too. Don't worry.
The only option was hand deliver. They're not just gonna leave it.
Why would you do this to me?
I didn't do anything. I did nothing.
Why would you guys do this to me?
I didn't do anything.
All right, so real quick.
I ordered Kelly something.
She did it. I just gave her the credit card.
But it's hand delivered. They're not just gonna leave it, so they're gonna ring the doorbell. Probably during her work hours. So just make sure she doesn't spaz out.
I mean, what
She's
the
gonna
fuck
make
is
air
that?
this week. I love this.
Like, what is that?
People were watching this and it's gonna be like, how did Kelly's delivery go? If you wanna follow us, this week on the Shoot Diamond Podcasting Productions on Facebook, we will update you on how Kelly handled the delivery persons. That way no one is in suspense for next week's show.
And Mac will be sure to take a picture of the gifts. Right?
Because I'm
sure
not
he
booked.
will.
Because
he's not booked. He's not booked. Yes, it's perfect. Thank you. Wow.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Shut up, bitches.
I'm just.
Why'd you shut the light on before you get the other room?
I'm not blind and I can see.
Wow.
Ouch.
Cornbread, damn it.
Cornbread,
Wow.
damn it.
Oh,
Wow.
I need some water for that burn. Christ.
All right. Yeah.
Burn, it was just Max.
Oh my god. What an asshole. What an absolute asshole.
Why don't you just come in here with a shovel and fucking bury me now? Christ, I'm dead to this program.
That was the wrong button.
Cornbread, damn it.
Cornbread. Yep. Cornbread.
Most people right now, especially the AEW fans, this is them playing their world's smallest violin for me tonight.
Oh, I thought that
I'm
was
finally getting my comeuppance as far as it's
I actually thought that was you rolling a joint, but okay. I guess that's where my mind is tonight.
I have the other things for that.
Yeah.
I don't need the joint. Even though I had one last week that was 45% THC. It was literally like having a rocket fuel added to yourself.
I'm just gonna say that living in two separate states now that both have legal marijuana and sales, you gotta come down here every so often. They have a higher THC content.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay.
I know.
Sure you're
I'll be
aware.
there. I hopefully I'll be there for Christmas. I think that's the plan.
Either way, but
Yeah, or I'll just send her down there more. Just be like, go smuggle me some things. Go bring them back.
yeah,
Cross state lines. I don't care.
it's legal. It's legal in all the states she's gonna drive through, anyways. It's legal.
You know,
in
it's-
Connecticut now.
You know, it's funny because earlier tonight, before we started the program, I was then again checking prices on Pearl Jam tickets for this Tuesday night at Fenway Park, and including fees, they are like $50 to $60. And it's like, of course, everything that I've discussed recently on the program, it's just like, it's not worth the money. And then I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, wait a minute. This is Pearl Jam at
The
Fenway
only
Park.
thing that is worth my money at this point is Dunkin' Donuts runs. And everything after that, is just fucking secondary. Dunks, please sponsor. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Like, remember
I
folks,
run on Dunkin', bitches.
America runs on Dunkin'. Yes.
So do I.
We'll just start. I'll have to go back into my my air checks from when I was in radio of all the Duncan reads and just start replaying them. So that way they know, he knows what the spiel is. So I could just do 15-second spots all the time for him.
If
you need me for voice work, I'm right here.
If I can make Dave Meltzer this shit in 5 minutes,
It might, I don't know. It might be zero.
it might be zero. Might be. But I'll still have one, and that's Dunkin' Donuts. Anyway, now that we've strayed so far off topic at this point, holy crap.
It was rather surprising to hear Alvarez talk about this match because he even said, he's like, I can't rate this match, which I was surprised with. I don't know I haven't heard Dave's ratings yet for it. I'm expecting it.
I didn't look.
I'm expecting it with the next day or two. And for me to just flip out because
It killed the match for me.
It's just every fucking 5 seconds they were just doing something. Oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and then it fucking ended with a fucking headshot with a steel chair. It's like, oh my god, because there are certain matches now I can't go back and watch. The Hell in a Cell match, Taker and Mankind. Yeah, I can go back and watch that because of the historical significance of it, and also just because of the fact of that it blew my mind when I was 15. It still blows my mind now that even that fucking thing came together.
The thing is with that match, though, it's you're right about the historical part of it, but it's also the simple fact remains that it was never gratuitous.
No,
it was 2 to 3 big highlights, a few smaller highlights, but everybody remembers the one, right?
Yes.
Maybe the second, but definitely the one.
I mean, that second fall was so much worse.
Oh,
100%. That first one is just iconic because I remember. You have to understand, people. The week that happened, that match happened. My parents were having their bathroom redone, and I would watch that match continuously, and the contractors on their lunch break would be in watching that match continuously because it was one of the, like, we got to watch this again. It was literally the most watched match of my years, probably for between like 15 and like 17. I think I watched that match every week because it was fucking amazing in my mind. It was one of the great, and it was one of the greatest things I had ever seen. Mind you, I can go back and watch the Michaels Taker Hell in a Cell, and that match was better. That match was better, far better. But as far as Bell to Bell, I thought that was far better. But as far as the matches, as far as the moments, yes, the second one was better for moments wise. But as far as an overall match, I prefer HBK and Undertaker, the first one. And then the Kane debut was still ridiculous because the minute the lights went out, you knew what it was.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're like, oh no. And he just shows up and you're just terrified because you're just seeing this giant red monster with fire just coming out. You're like, oh my God, where did they find this guy? And the way that he was built up, you almost felt like it was literally going to be Michael Myers itself. And he was.
Yeah, more or less.
It was like, more or less, it's like, this guy is terrifying. And then for like 6 months, he just goes out and kills everybody until finally Taker's just like, well, I have to fight you now. Like, everybody shits on that Inferno match. And then I have to remind people, he dived over fire, right?
I remember the last time I shit on that match. That's exactly what you said to me, too.
It's like, anytime anybody shits on that match, I'm just like, he dived over fire. That's it. That's the end of the argument at that point. Because then everybody's just like, yeah, you got me. Like, there's so much else
it's funny. After our last conversation about the Inferno match, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that I love that match still to this day, because I definitely don't, obviously.
Yes.
Like, where it would have potentially worked is in these, like, cinematic things that the Wyatt Six and, the Wyatt family do. I think an Inferno match would probably work well in that kind of a scenario where it's edgy, it's darker and stuff, but I just didn't care for it.
No. It's only good. It's only good for that one moment. That's it. It's good for the hell. It's good for the dive or the fire, and that's it. But there are other matches though that happen around that time period, especially one that I could look at the top of the list. The Royal Rumble I Quit match from 1999 between The Rock and Mankind is never is in that category of I am never watching that again. Because occasionally I'll see clips. Because, you know, I do watch a lot of retrospective shows for research on this program. And just for my own kind of encyclopedia mind of Rolodexes, I just have a giant library with 3 people working in my head. And they're just wheeling around carts of different pieces of information. And they're just like, like, it's just, that's the process for me with the wrestling when it comes to wrestling.
Right.
I have to have people on the payroll inside my brain to be able to be able to shift and move all the information correctly. But I did watch a retrospective on the Mankind Rock match, and it just showed the chair shots in a montage. And even to this day, it's been 25 years. I have not seen that match, I don't think, more than probably 5 times. I don't plan on ever watching it fully. I mean, and if you've seen Beyond the Mat, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The man was handcuffed and took at least a dozen unprotected chair shots to the head.
Yep.
And it was overkill, but not only it was, if The Rock is in the category of probably some of the best chair shots I've ever seen. That one on Ken Shamrock when Shamrock's on his knees and he just drilled them.
Well,
and then
I
there was
credit
this
for that one to Shamrock, though.
Yes.
Shamrock was the one that basically tells the story of if you don't hit
Recently,
me in the face,
yes.
I'm not going to sell it.
Yes.
And I totally believe he did that because Rock was swinging for the fences after that.
And not only did he sell it, he's just like, it didn't hurt me because it was in the face. It's like, which I guess because the face kind of just, because, you know, the top of the head and like the back of the head, that's the most vulnerable. Where you get hit in the face with a chair, it's just like, it's kind of like how Vader, when he got clipped in the face that one time, it just opened him up on the side here. It wasn't like a concussion. He just got a huge gash.
Yep.
If you just hit it correctly in the face, you can get away with not doing damage to the head. But you got to be able to toe the line a little bit.
Yeah.
Anything here, anything above probably, I think, the hairline, that's when you're pushing it a little bit. And I feel like that just to end, like, again, you're telling everybody we're the safest professional wrestling company ever. You're telling everybody that it's different. You're telling everybody that you're smarter than all these other promoters. Yet time and time again, you do cheap tactics like this to get a little bit of buzz. And the problem is that people are catching on to it. They've been catching on to it for a long time now. Like, these matches don't shock people anymore because they know that this is what you do. And you already had a chair shot to the head incident about a month and a half ago during the blood and guts match between when Jungle Jack Perry got hit in the face by Mark Briscoe. Like, you have done this so many times. And even Alvarez said these chair shots, it was right after that. And then you end this match, this main event on it. There's no excuse for it in this day and age. We know now what it does to people mentally. We know what it does to people and their way of life. Tony Khan went to ECW shows. There's been pictures that have been shown. I mean, he used to take the private plane in to go to, like, of course, I'm going to take my kid to go to South Philly, and he's a fucking teenager. Jesus Christ. I'm 40-something years old. I wouldn't take anybody I know to go to fucking South Philly without a goddamn gun. Kidding, of course. Because South Philly just did host WrestleMania, so it is different.
Gotcha.
But where that place where the arena was considered very sketchy at times, especially like there was an underpass there. There's just some stories that you hear from like around that area. Of course, though, when you went to those shows, they were tailgating from early on in that day. Those tailgates must have been the literal most fun you probably ever had in your life, because you're all there, you're grilling, and you're just talking about wrestling the whole time, and you're just getting hammered 6 hours before the fucking doors open. That was ECW. I can't think of any other company that's like that, because these kids that watch AEW, I don't think they get hammered. I don't think they do drugs. I don't think they do anything.
There's a lot I could say that they do, and I'm just not going to go there.
Of course.
Probably for the best.
Probably hentai body pillows, but that's besides the point.
Close enough.
Close enough, right?
Yeah.
It's not going into too much detail because it's just looking.
I mean, it would also be a tell of, how I view AEW fans as a whole, which, again, I think the things that come to my mind are just better left unsaid. Hentai body pillow, I think, is just the most accurate way to say that. Just, it jives, it flows, it checks out.
I don't want us to sit here and be considered, because Meltzer was going after podcasters earlier and saying that all they're doing is just going after them, and they're just saying and trying to prove them wrong. No, Dave, the problem is that you've been proved wrong time and time again. The fact is that as of right now, going into the weekend of September 15th, 2014, AEW has nothing pen on paper announced yet by either side. You can sit here and tell me, oh, the deal is done, because if a deal does get done, of course you can sit there and gloat that you've known this whole time, but really all you're doing at that point is just speculating and hearsay. All it is right now is speculation. That's it. I have not, and I've said this numerous times on this program, I am not trying to be a newsman. I'm not fucking Mike Wallace here hosting 60 Minutes. I am a fucking pundit. I come on here. I am a talking head. That's how it goes. But at the same time, I have called more shit accurately than you have.
Cornbread, damn it, cornbread.
It's a simple fact. And I'm reporting everything that AEW and the problems they've been having accurately, because I'm using sources that aren't you. I've never used you as a source. Maybe for history shit, but that's it. Never news-wise. Wrestling Observer is reporting. Yeah, fuck.
Okay, hold on. Let's have this discussion right now. Are we done talking about All Out? We don't have to be done with the show. I'm just asking.
We're done talking about All Out. Okay. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Because I did,
but we're not AEW as a whole. But yes.
No. I understand that. However, I have a little game ish that I want to play.
Ish. All right.
Ish.
Oh no.
Oh, not that one. So, if anybody followed the news this week, something happened on television.
Oh, God.
Called the presidential debate.
Oh, fuck.
So, we're not going to talk about the debate, though. As much as we can, anyways. But I figure, since we're ranting about AEW, we might as well just come right here and do it anyways.
Yes, but we're not going to be on opposite sides of the position, because I think...
No, we're not. But we don't need
that's
to be.
The thing.
But we don't need
that's
to
the
be.
thing. Like, we're running on the same fucking ticket. Why are we on the both sides then? Like, on opposite sides on this.
I don't know. You can play Kamala. I can play Waltz. We're having the same conversation in that first interview. I don't know, man. I don't know. I thought it was just... Listen. I don't know how much you watched this.
At least I'm more popular than JD Vance. I mean, that's nice.
That's a low bar. That's a low.
It's still a bar.
It's still a bar. You're right. Can't argue that. But I was watching this debate last night, and just your ranting just immediately reminded me of it. So I was like, oh my god, we have to do this now. So, did you watch any of it?
Fuck no.
Okay. So, did you hear about any of the highlights?
Apparently eating cats and dogs were at that point.
Yeah,
now.
so apparently the migrants start eating your cats and dogs. Apparently there are abortions after 9 months. I think those are called births, sir. And there was a lot of other noteworthy stuff, but I'm sorry. The other one was I don't have ideas.
He's getting his information from Casey Anthony.
I think he's getting his information somewhere, and it's really bad. So what was the other thing he said? So they asked him about what was it? Fuck, I forget what it was about. And that's gonna bother me now. It was something else. Oh yeah, they asked him if he had any ideas about something. I don't remember what the question was about, but they asked him if he has any ideas. He was like, "Oh yeah, I have ideas." So they asked him, "Oh, okay, what?" And he's like, "I don't have ideas. I have concepts of ideas." And I was like, "Wow, I mean, you're a building contractor, basically, at the end of the day. So I mean, you're not wrong, but
he's not wrong. I mean, he's."
Trump steaks was probably a concept of an idea. I mean, just saying.
Trump water, Trump vodka,
Trump Airlines,
Trump casinos.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about my casinos, but you know,
listen. She didn't do the best either. She had her gaffes too, but whatever. I thought some of the things that the former president said, like eating cats and dogs from the migrants or whatever, I thought was pretty funny. I did have to stop it and laugh at that. But, again, your rant kind of reminded me, so I was like, you know what? Dan's probably going to rant tonight about AEW. I need a backdrop.
To be quite honest about the recent current events that have been going on politics-wise, I really could give a rat shit, because the way I look at it is just like, either way we're screwed. So
I mean,
I'm just gonna live in ignorant bliss. It's like, why not? Because why not? Like
country's going to shit anyways.
It's all going there. It's just who's driving the boat? It's like we're almost on the Titanic. We're gonna hit the iceberg at some point. Who's driving the boat?
It cracks me up too, because people ragged on Biden for being 2 years older than Trump. Or 4 years older, whatever the fuck it is. And it's like, Trump is now the same age as Biden was when he ran last time.
Yes.
He's gonna be 82 when he gets out of the Oval Office this time.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my god. Like, I get it. Everybody has their personal politics or thought politics, whatever you really want to call it. And I get it. It's just, for me, it's just a way to make fun of you. Like, I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. Both parties are stupid.
Like,
this is why we're independents, Dan.
It's why I'm an independent, and honestly, I just fucking keep my mouth shut when it comes to this shit, because it's just, even when
don't you care about the issues?
Even when we were on the old program, I would stay away from that so far, especially too when I ended up getting a legitimate gig. I did not want to come off as somebody that really had an opinion, but the truth is, I really don't fucking have one. Yeah. I don't care in the end. Like, I just don't. I'm tired of the process. I'm tired of. I'm just fatigued. I've been fatigued because the man has been campaigning for this whole thing every day for the last 9 fucking years.
I don't even
for 9 years. For 9 years, I have had to hear his name every fucking day. It's just every day we've had to hear his name, because it's either I'm running, I am, or I'm running again. And it's just a constant, shut the fuck up. God damn it. Will you just shut up? And I don't want to hear it about it on the other side, because being someone that works for a living, I feel the pinch from them too.
Oh yeah.
And it's so either way, I have the guy who won't shut the fuck up that talks about how great he is, even though everything that he's ever really done, he's either been handed or he just has other people that are smarter than him behind him, so telling him what to do, so he can be like, oh, okay. Or secondly, I have somebody that just for some reason, for the last 4 years, has been the vice president of the United States, and I haven't seen this person do a goddamn thing.
Yep.
So it's hard. It's hard for me to sit here and say that there's, because in my opinion, we both have, it's a flawed system. We have two candidates who I really don't think are that popular on either side, but at the same time, because you have, I don't get how it's just become this just hyper bubble. It wasn't like, it was never like this growing up. I don't remember 2000 being like this. I don't remember 2004, 2008, 2012 being like this. The last 3 elections in this country have been a complete and utter fucking circus. And it is, I just feel like that Ringling Brothers should be coming out with the elephants. The fucking clowns should be out. They should be shooting people out of the cannon at this point, because that's the way that this process has become. And, you know, I'm lucky that I'm that I am able to focus and barrel in on shit. There's a reason why that people sometimes are just like, why is everything that you talk about sports and wrestling? Is it just like, because everything else sucks. Hollywood doesn't come out with anything fun. They haven't in a long time. I mean, even though I do plan on going to see Beetlejuice, which I'm sure that there's people out there that are like, I really don't want to hear it. I'm sure it's a fun movie. It's going to make me laugh. Sure, it's not going to be like the new Ghostbusters movie. But
even the first remake was good.
Yes.
And then this one sucks.
Yes. No, that's why I'm thinking that it's going to be good.
I know. Man.
I mean, it's also like around the IMDb rating of the original anyways. And I trust that more than I do like Rotten Tomatoes and stuff like that, because that's where moviegoers go and they vote and all that stuff. So I tend to listen to them more than I do other critics of media. But the fact of the matter is that as far as Hollywood is concerned, it is creatively bankrupt to the extent where they have to just keep getting these same people. Robert Downey Jr. is going to make a shit ton of money to come back to Marvel. They're going to have to pay Hugh Jackman a shit ton of money to be able to keep him on, because they plan on using him in the Wolverine, which, again, they pretty much just retro-con Logan. Logan, at this point, you should just throw it in the trash, because it's just like, well, this means nothing now. Like, literally,
Well, I think
Hugh Jackman
Hugh
had the Ric Flair retirement at WrestleMania 24. That's what Logan was. That's what Logan was. It was WrestleMania 24 with Ric Flair. And then they're like, can you come back for this Deadpool movie? Well, how much are you going to pay me? Fine. But also, he likes playing Wolverine. Like, he loves the character. So it's like, if he wants to keep doing it, fuck it. Like,
at the same token, like, Logan is supposed to be a little bit on the older side, so
yes,
works,
he is,
man.
So it does work, and it's just like, I'm fine with if Hugh Jackman wants to spend the rest of his life playing Wolverine, fine. I don't care. He's good at it.
He's saying that till he's like 90 in a wheelchair. Fuck, I made a mistake.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't. He knows probably his limits, you know. Like, it's just.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, as far as characters, like, he is top 5 ever as far as, okay, you can put him in key, like, if he's on the Mount Rush, if you're doing a Mount Rushmore of guys who are that character, like Michael Keaton, we can look at as Batman, we can look at Christopher Reeve as Superman, In my opinion, he's Superman. Christopher Reeve, there's no one been better past 1 and 2. They've tried, hasn't worked. It's Reeve. It's Keaton. Hugh Jackman would be third. Fourth is a debatable one. I know everybody and their mother would say RDJ, which, as far as box office is concerned, you really can't argue. But, you know, the fourth one I think is really debatable. But the third one is Jackman's up there. Like, Jackman is on the Mount Rushmore as far as superhero actor portrayals.
Man, it's so tough. It's so tough.
It's just been so many.
But the thing is, it's like, I think you have to put RDJ in the front because a lot of these guys that you're talking about were never the character as long as he was Tony Stark, right? And I think that sets him at an unfair advantage, sure. But, and I guess this is the debate now we're having.
Yeah, I know, right?
Rushmore actors, oh my god.
Why not? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Who cares?
But I just, you know, I'm not going to disagree with Reeve. I do think Henry Cavill is just as good, though. I think it's just as good.
The problem is that at Man of Steel, I'll debate that to anybody too. I think that is an excellent entry into the Superman kind of lore.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard people debate on that. Well, he didn't, you know, like.
But hold on.
He had to kill Zod. Like, come on.
Yeah. Like, whatever, man. I'm not even gonna get into that. Like, superheroes kill supervillains. It happens. Get over it. Like, Jesus. Right. So I don't know what to say to that one. But
I know.
You know, the whole thing is that it's like I still would agree it's Reeve, but I think Henry Cavill was very close. I don't disagree with Keaton. I think that he's in good company from the Nolan series, I think, which I think, you know, was also very good. But looking at, like, Val Kilmer, like, ooh. Looking at George Clooney,
you know, as time has gone on, I've kind of grown a bit more of an appreciation for Val because, not as Superman, but I think because usually
He's Batman. You said Superman.
But I thought Val was. I haven't watched Forever in so long. I haven't watched Forever and Forever.
I wouldn't have
yeah, because it's just like, why do I want to go back to that?
Yeah.
It's like, as far as that was always a 4-pack that they tried to shove down my throat. It's like, we're selling this 4-pack for $30. It's just like, I just want the first two. Well, no, we got the 4-pack for but I just want the first two. Like, I would just go out and spend extra money just to get the other two, so that way I don't have the other two in my collection. That's how I've always felt about it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just like the first movie. I think I bought at least 4 times. Like the first Batman, I think I've bought at least. That's another movie I probably bought 6 times between VHS, DVD, and then Blu-ray. So I think that was one of the first ones that had the snap cases. Remember, like the ones on the side? Yeah. But. And then finally, Blu-ray. I think I bought it twice on Blu-ray because I bought a Steelbook edition of it. It was just like, this is so much. But it's tough to kind of with Val. I loved him in other stuff, certain other things, but not like as Batman. But I felt like that there was something there with him as Batman. I felt like he if he had another movie or two under his belt, he might have been able to grow into the role more.
I agree.
He also was a bit of an asshole, but that's besides the point.
Well, look at it this way, right? So, I feel like Keaton, perfect Batman.
Yes.
Perfect Bruce Wayne. Then you go from Keaton to Kilmer, and I think he was a perfect Batman, but not a great Bruce Wayne.
Yes.
It's just something about him. Just like, I hated it. But I thought it was a decent Batman. And then Clooney, who was like the exact opposite. I thought he was a much better Bruce Wayne than he was a Batman.
Yeah, I thought he was an excellent Bruce Wayne. The interesting part of 3, Batman Forever, was the fact that they had like Drew Barrymore and Nicole Kidman in it. And they were both like Nicole Kidman. That was the first time I had actually ever noticed. I was just like, wow, she's kind of attractive. And that was also the first time I looked at Drew Barrymore and I was just like, wow, you're kind of attractive too. And it's, I don't get it with, that is one celebrity crush. I think with Drew Barrymore, it's still there for some reason. Probably going back to Scream, a few other movies. You know, now she's hosting a talk show, and I'm just like, yeah. Hello. But, yeah, exactly. You cued it perfectly.
I thought so.
It's just like, she just enters the room, and I'm just like, the butterflies, hi. Yeah. And I'm and there's people on this program that are just like, and Dan has a thing for Drew Barrymore still. It's just like, well, why not? So what?
It might, I don't know. It might be 0.
Exactly. It might be 0. Might be 0, Dave. I'm glad we've entered him. We've put him on the soundboard now because he absolutely has earned the right to be on there now, because now we could just shit on him and be like, what are you going to rate that, Dave? Probably 0.
No,
You know?
it might, I don't know. It might be 0.
Exactly. I want to be able to respect the guy. And it's harder every day now as far as someone that, because he's just full of his own shit. And that's part of the problem. And the part of the problem is too, is that
how you could say that any better, by the way. He's full of his own shit.
he's just full of his own shit. Like he really is. Like as far as this industry is concerned, the thing is that he roots for AEW so much because they put him on a pedestal that he's never been put on before, because no one's taken him seriously. He's the cool kid at the table now. He's finally at the cool kid table. They're finally acknowledging his existence, when for 30 to 35 years before that, everybody was just like, hey, look at the fucking nerd Neltzer again. And I called him Neltzer because they couldn't get his name right. Like, that was actually done on purpose.
You know what's hilarious is I just pulled that video or Washington Post from a video on YouTube, and as you say, nerd, I just happened to glance at that screen, and one of the suggested videos is a Napoleon Dynamite, and that is in effect how I view Dave Meltzer.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Like fucking Napoleon Dynamite. I mean, listen, that's just how I feel about the guy. I think that you nailed it, because in terms of like a wrestling historian, he is a fucking nerd.
Yes,
he absolutely
which I'm
is a
fine
fucking
with.
Nerd. Right, yeah.
Like, me and him could have great conversation just about history. As far as the modern day product, me and him I'd probably punch him in the face.
Probably.
But
oh, I thought it was a 7.5 star match. Like what are you fucking drunk?
In his face.
Were you fucking drunk when you watched that?
Shut the fuck up, Dave.
Yeah, like, you want fucking like Quaaludes or something there, bro? Like, have too many cervezas? Like, what's going on? With what eyes was that a 7.5 star match? Oh, Cody and Roman only got 4.5 stars. But this dude shoved a syringe in the other guy's mouth. What?
Kurt Angle never had one 5-star match, by the way. Not one in his career.
Which is fucking bullshit, by the way.
I can think of 5 Kurt Angle matches that are better than half of the fucking 5-star matches that this guy's given out. Like, I
mean, even still, how dare you besmirch the American gold medalist like that?
He represented this country, he was a great world champion, and he won the fucking gold medal with a broken neck.
And speaking of this, ironically enough, I have to segue to this real quick. I apologize, but considering where the night is going, I love that there is now a "You Suck" chant for Chad Gable and his stable, to the effect of it being like the old "You Suck," like from Kurt Angle's song when they did it at his entrance. I think it's fucking hilarious.
I hope they add it in the video game. That'll be nice.
You suck. You suck. I mean, listen. Jokes aside, though, like I always thought that part was incredibly funny. I wanted to point that out a couple weeks ago too when they first started doing it. But back to Dave Meltzer. Yeah, I will never understand how Kurt Angle does not have a 5-star match. I just don't.
I don't know either. He has never looked down. He's always looked down on mainstream wrestling. Always has. He did with WWE. He did with TNA for years. WCW, he gave it love, in the late 80s. When Hogan got there, I think he kind of turned for the worse, because whenever it was the showmanship started entering the industry, the Hogans, the Warriors, he used to openly call the Ultimate Warrior the Anabolic Warrior in old issues of the Observer. He called the Junkyard Dog the Junk Food Dog when Junkyard Dog got fatter. He's always kind of had this snobbish attitude towards mainstream wrestling. Junkyard Dog was a massive star who drew huge numbers in Mid-South wrestling, and all he did was mock them. Hulk Hogan drew one of the biggest icons in the history of the wrestling industry, always mocked him. Warrior, yes, you can mock him, but at the same time, at one time, for a short period of time, he was a top star in the industry, and he openly mocked him, probably before it was cool, but I understood why. You look back on it now, it's just like, that's a funny name, Anabolic Warrior. It's like, all right, I gotta give it to you. But it was difficult because he was showing his bias then. There's a reason why Ric Flair is a part of it was the Ric Flair Award for Wrestler of the Year, because he won it like 6 or 7 years in a row. The Observer loved him for years, and it was, and then it became Bryan Danielson. Oh, it's just all he's done his whole career is try to be the cool kid in the room. He always tried to be like, set the tone in the bar as far as, if you have to be like, he almost just became like this critic of just like, and he has a star rating system where I've always kind of had the Chase Sherman mentality. It stinks.
It stinks.
Yeah. And that's been kind of the way it should be. Why are you throwing a gimmick out there where you have to star rate everything? Oh, that's at least 6.5 stars.
No, it might, I don't know.
Dave, how much have you gotten laid in the last 6 months?
It might, I don't know. It might be 0.
It's 0. I love it when people mock him. They're just like, oh, his wife left him. All that stuff. Like, I mean, did she? I don't know. I don't know if she did. I think it's hysterical when people mention that, because it's just like, he's such a nerd, his wife left him. It's tough because, again, as a resource, I think he is, for historical purposes, he's one of the best ever. But as far as a resource now, as far as someone that is obviously showing your bias, you've been doing it for years, but it's now just glowingly there. Even though last year and this year you've mentioned that you're probably going to get Paul Levesque Booker of the Year. So it's like, you're not too, at least if Tony Khan got Booker of the Year last year, if Tony Khan or AEW got a lot of these awards last year as well, then I think people would be calling a foul. But considering the fact that the Observer this year, Levesque got Booker of the Year, a lot of these other programs got, and I expect AEW is still probably going to get pay-per-view of the year. Fine, whatever. Fine. But don't sit here and push this narrative of this source of and saying that everybody is ganging up on you and that you're right about this and all this stuff. I can't take a word seriously of this media rights deal until there's pen to paper. And the fact is that this pay-per-view overall hurt them. In my opinion, it hurt them. It hurt them in their media rights deal because I don't know now if any television property is going to want to risk putting that on their network or pay-per-view for that matter if they end up on Max with a streaming deal, which I expect them to get a deal. I expect someone to pay them. I just don't expect it to be this exorbitant number that they think they're going to be entitled to. And, I still have to question, where are they going to be in 6 months? Where are they going to be in a year? Where are they going to be in 2 years? And I think it's safe you can bet that instead of just sitting here and saying that we're haters or we want to root this company to fail. Again, I don't want to see this company fail. I really don't. But at the same time, I'm going to sit here and be truthful to people and say, if I looked at them from the outside looking in, they're in a death spiral. And I've been consistent with that. And
it's true.
Because it's true. It's not me trying to sit here and tell you, oh, I'm a hater. I just want to see this company fail. I don't. If they were good, which they were 3 years ago, and I said they have every reason to believe right now, and no excuse, on they should be kicking WWE's ass right now, or at least in a year from now, they're going to be in the position to do that. And they let ego and politics and the one guy who's been at the center of the controversies for the last 2.5 years, one of them has been Hangman Page. And he continually still has a job there. He's a fucking idiot. And again, he was involved in a situation this weekend where if he was anywhere else, except for somebody, if he worked for anybody else that was competent, if he worked for anybody else that held people accountable, he would have been fired. Yeah. But he's not. Like, he's still booked. They're probably going to make him, a top star
because
again,
I'm not booked.
even though no one gives a fuck. No one cares when he was world champion. And when nobody cared, he was world champion. He threw a tissy fit and decided, I'm going to openly bury the guy that I just paid all this money to, who came back to wrestling after 7 years. Everybody's excited to see him back, and I'm going to make him my world champion because that's the thing to do. He's the biggest star I'm ever going to have in this company, but I'm going to let this fucking guy who's drawn me nothing go on to my television program and openly bury the guy. I'm going to do nothing about it. I'm going to let it fester. And now you're in the situation that you are now. Fucking idiot. Complete fucking idiot. And all I've been doing is trying to get the fucking numbers from last night's show. Because I need to know. Like,
as you're talking, I have this, idea. And it's really just to make a wrestling channel. Make it a channel. They're all on the channel. And do a platform like that. Whether it's a channel or an app or what. But you could do it that way. You could swing it that way. And have all this wrestling in one spot. And that would be that kind of scenario. But it's, I don't know, it's stemming from what you said about not wanting them to fail, because I'm a little bit more, I don't know, not caring. I don't want the company to fail, though. I want Tony Khan to fail.
He already has.
But that's my point. But to take it a step further, and this goes into that, conversation with One Wrestling, maybe somebody buys them. Maybe WWE buys them for TNA, and they ride off into the sunset as this two-prong attack of TNA, AEW, and Ring of Honor, and WWE, which still pulls more rank than all of them. I don't know, do something. Because I think the talent that they have, like the Ospreys, like the Kenny Omegas, like the Young Bucks, like the Bryan Danielsons, I guess, but, who knows how much longer he's going to be wrestling. You could do stuff like that. But this current iteration of AEW, I don't want them to fail either, but I really want Tony just to fail and to sell the company, because I think with the right leadership, they could go back to beating WWE. Might not be on a weekly basis, but maybe every so often they grab a rating. I think it's completely feasible with the roster that they have. They're just incredibly mismanaged. That's the biggest issue with the company. It's not the talent. Sometimes, sure, it is. But again, it's the management and the ownership, because kind of like you said, you'd be fighting Hangman left and right, probably. You probably would have fined Jack Perry all last year.
No, I would have fired him.
Yeah. I would have fined him, but I don't know if I would have fired him, but either way, I would have done something. Tony didn't do anything. It's what faith do I have in leadership of this point, over a year later now, that he's going to do the right thing? I have zero confidence in that. You got rid of your biggest draw. You're letting your talent roam free on generic stupidity. You're having fights in the back, even after this shit. Because whatever the fuck happened in the back, we'll never know. But something obviously had gone down with Britt Baker and MJF. Just dissension among the ranks at that point. Just call it that way. And now, fast forward another couple months, and now you have your talent smashing each other on cinder blocks and stabbing intravenous needles into their mouths and choking guys with fucking plastic bags. At what point, whether you're a star or you're a fan, or even if you're Tony Khan, do you not look at yourself and be like, dude, this is wrong and I need to, do something about it? And then just not listen to yourself at all and do nothing. It just baffles me. I seriously don't get it. So when people are like, oh, you're a hater. No, I'm not. I think you've got an amazing, talented roster. I think your leader is awful and does not have your best interests at heart. And rant.
I wouldn't say that even as a rant at this point. I'd more or less just say that it's, it's more or less just kind of speaking facts at the moment where we're at. look, people can sit there and say what they want, and they can say that AEW has gotten them back into wrestling, and I can appreciate that, and I can understand that. But the debate is over as far as you telling me that this company is better than WWE, because that's been out the window now for the last 2 years. That argument's dead. It's over.
It was never an argument.
It was never.
Listen, I'll say it this way, because I know what your counter to that statement is already. It's not about the fact of being just the better show, or just the better produced, or the better booked, or the better storylines. It's all of those things. You might have had the shock value, you might have had a match here and there, but overall, I feel like WWE was still winning in that time period. There's still the bigger stars, there's still the bigger shows, there's still the better production. Yeah, it might have been unwatchable at times because of the stories and the booking, but that wasn't all the time either. So, I'm going to respectfully disagree because the bigger show still is WWE, but AEW was definitely drawing views.
That's fair. They were drawing less views, but I also still feel at the same time, though, that they were the right. They had a hand in, I think, this resurgence for WWE, because I feel like that. But I feel like that was. They had a chance with Vince in power, because Vince had obviously shown that he didn't care. He didn't see them as a threat.
Well, I'm just going to say it this way, and then I'm going to shut up. I think once you back Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief, was the beginning of the end for AEW.
Well, that was a part of it, and then it became... That was a big part of it. But then another thing came as soon as Vince was out of power. Then that's when things got really bad, because that was us around the same time of the Young Bucks and, well, the Elite versus the CM Punk dissension, and that became a big kind of, I think, narrative. I'm getting a plastic bag away from my fucking cat because she's trying to go Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley. Yes, let's see her. Let's see her right now. This is what currently I'm fucking dealing with. Like, so it's just I'm trying to enjoy myself. I don't know.
Oh, she didn't like that though. She's like, "Stop talking shit about me, Daddy."
This is her new hangout. Like, this is, yeah. Because when I'm playing video games now, she knows not to cuddle because, you know.
Yeah. Tony Khan.
My assistant Tony Khan sucks. That's pretty much the narrative, which has been a constant narrative on this program at times. But it's just this is full truth.
You know, what we were saying though is, you know, at the beginning of the end, and what I said was, when he brought back Roman as the Tribal Chief, like. That's for me the true beginning of the end for them. And there have just been like this snowball getting bigger and bigger and bigger on the way down the mountain to me. They've had more shit happen, more storylines. Cody left, Cody rejoined WWE. You know, guys come and go from that to, you know, Adam Page is the new NXT World Champion. Like, just
Ethan Page.
Lexis King, Ethan Page, sorry.
Yes.
I'm getting my pages confused now, apparently.
It's fine. There's so many in that company. It's fine.
There are, yeah. You know, Lexis King comes back. Jade leaves and goes to WWE too. Like, all these people. And it's like...
CM Punk.
Yeah, CM Punk.
How the fuck did that happen?
Listen, I mean, at the end of the day, that I don't even consider a win for WWE. I consider it 2 wins for WWE, because the first one is when he left in the first place. A lot of AEW fans are like, well, I guess I'll start watching WWE again. And then
months later, or not even really that much later, he goes back to WWE at one of the big four and makes his return after 10 years.
And we all said, because I remember leading up to, like, literally, I knew it was going to happen because everybody was just like, fuck CM Punk. Like, everybody in the camp, mostly. And then as soon as he rejoined that company, everybody was just like, CM Punk! CM Punk! Everybody was just so happy to see him back. And I'm just like, but all you guys did was talk shit 6 months ago. Like, what the fuck happened?
I think there are so many people that were like, thank God he's back in wrestling in general, that they were like, oh, okay, fuck it, we're cool now. And, you know, not knowing what happened at All In for a lot of people, because it was before the video was released, because, of course, the Young Bucks see that he's popular
Fucking
again, and be
idiots.
like, oh, let's release it now. And it's just, oh my God. I'm sure CM Punk was like, vindication!
His reaction to that was when he put up the picture of George W. Bush on the aircraft carrier. It says "Mission Accomplished" with the banner in the background.
Yep, I remember
From that popped me so hard because he nailed it, because that's pretty much the equivalent of what happened. It was just like all you did was vindicate me, and like that's all you did. Because everything he said was in the video. He's just like, oh, I choked him a little bit. I didn't reach at anybody, or, you know, everything that happened in the video was exactly what CM Punk said.
Yeah.
And I told everybody, I said, if they show this and it's exactly what it is, what he said,
Yep.
they're going to look ridiculous. And even Meltzer even said, he's just like, I don't understand why they did that. And they did it. And this isn't, like, to think that that wasn't the dumbest thing this company has ever done. Because this past weekend, I can make an argument that those things were dumber than that one. It's like,
I don't think there's
shit.
much of an argument, but I do agree that it's top 3, 1, 2, and 3 right there of stupid things we've seen in wrestling, especially in recent wrestling.
Like, I'm still trying to figure out how they're even getting people to talk to them to be on their to host their show, because they have to be looking at the ratings, they have to be looking at their merchandise movement, their social media trends, their attendance. You have to be looking at it, and you looking at it and say, this is a cold brand, this is ice cold, because supposedly their merch dropped when they fired CM Punk last year. Their merch dropped 70%.
There's nobody else selling merch.
Nobody else is doing anything. That's why I'm saying, like, they're in a death spiral to me, because they look like WCW in the late 2000s, in late year 2000. Like, I look at them and I just think, oh my God. So much bad TV, so much stuff that just and they're just gonna get rewarded with another contract. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, but why?
I don't know. Maybe they feel
And now they
market.
want to bring in Lashley and MVP and Shelton Benjamin, which, look, MVP's making a lot of noise recently and talking about, like, he isn't. Look, if I was Triple H, I wouldn't be focusing on you guys either, because all 3 of you guys are in your mid to late 40s, pushing 50, or are 50 plus.
Sure, he is.
You guys have aged out. It happens.
I don't even want
I
to
understand.
Say aged out, Dan. I don't want to say it that way, but they're definitely upper tickers, right? Like, you might get a couple matches out of them. They might be great matches, but you don't have a high ceiling, right? And I don't want to take it away from any of the 3 of them, because both had great careers, in my opinion. Shelton Benjamin is so underrated, in my opinion.
Yes.
But at the same token, like, if he wants to go and get a decent contract for a meal ticket for a while,
he's probably not going to get that many deals. Like, let's be real.
No.
And that's not on him or any of the AEW talent. It's just they have a very bloated roster still, so they're not on TV all the time. And they have guys that are on TV all the time, and the other ones barely are. I feel like that's going to happen to them. And if that's all they really give a shit about is collecting a paycheck, then so be it. They'll get that. You're not going to be doing much else. If I was any of the three of them, I would just take a legend contract and say, peace out. Why put your body more at risk? I get it, man. Like, listen, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin and MVP, more so than maybe the others, are still in relatively good shape. I'll say it that way. But look at Edge. Look at Christian Cage. Look at one of other guys that are kind of past. Look at fucking Jericho. Guys that went past their prime. Even you can make an argument for Kofi Kingston too, not for nothing.
Yes.
Look at the guy's chest. Guys that are well past their prime or have hit that prime spot and now need to consider retirement. Less so Kofi, but still, like, look at his chest. He's done damage to his body. You gotta think about that shit too. You know, I just... But, like, let him make noise, in my opinion. Great. Sucks, but that's life, man. Like, gotta move on at some point. But I don't, you know, some of the other moves that they've made over the years, like, I don't agree with everything they do. You know? Kurt Angle asked for his release, but let's say he was released and went to TNA, like, you got the point now, like, hey, you could have brought him back. And they did eventually. They brought other guys back, too, at some points. Whether it be a one-time thing, whether it be a recurring contract, like your CM Punks, which is why it's hilarious. Sorry, Tony Khan. But, you know, they've done it over time, and I don't hate it, but I hate it in the sense of Tony Khan's guys, because it's just, if I'm any of them, I'm planning my exit strategy, and I'm playing with it soon. It's kind of like you said, I don't think they're a business in a few years. With how things are currently going, it might be even sooner if they don't get a media rights deal.
Even with the media right, I mean, they'll probably get a deal, but at the same time, you have to, if you're Warner Brothers or you're somebody else, you have to structure it where you have to reach certain goals. And if you don't reach those certain goals, you're done. And because you do not commit long term.
No.
Do not commit long term.
2-year max.
2 years, maybe 3, because 2 years with an option for 3, because I don't see them going past 4. I don't even see them going past 3, to be quite honest. It's like, I just look at this and I keep thinking, there's no one going to be left to go. There's no one that's going to be left to watch at the rate they're going, because no one gives a shit. There's no stars in that company right now that's going to be able to pull them out of the hole that they're in. I'm watching the trends. I'm watching every week.
You know what sucks about AEW, aside from everything else that we're talking about, is that, right? None of them feel like a top guy. But at the same token, a lot of them are actually top guys.
Yeah,
which is
that's
funny.
the problem.
And it's like, they don't do meaningful feuds when they should. They don't play up the amount of top guys that they have and build, I'm just going to call it, dynamic storylines with said guys to produce then great matches with great ring chemistry. All the things that WWE has started to do well over the last 5 years again. Like, that's what they need to do. You have so many top guys, and you never kind of put them together. You instead build these dream matches. Listen, nothing wrong with Pac against Ospreay. Great matches. Where's it going? What's the story? What title is that for? One of your 30 mid-card titles? Like, I'm not interested now. Oh, it's for the AEW World Championship. Okay, let's do that. Let's watch that match. It's going to be great. There's something on the line more than a mid-card title. But this bullshit where your main event is your former world champion against another former world champion 2 weeks out of losing the belt, for what reason? And why do I care? Because it's Hangman Page, but I guess we'll leave that part alone too. And you're in a cage match with a cinder block, other weapons, and a fucking syringe. Like, that's why I feel bad for that talent, because they have to sit there and watch that shit and be like, why are we doing this? That's where I'm saying, if I was them, I'd be looking for a way. Media rights deal, whatever, like, I'm looking for a way out.
I would too. Just like I really don't want to be here. Like I think that I see what it's doing to guys. Like, you look at Ricochet now, and you see his online activity.
Oh my god, what a bitch.
Dude, shut the fuck up. I'm telling you, shut the fuck up. Because all you're doing right now is proving to me and to everybody else that you are soft as dog shit. Like, you can't take it. You cannot take criticism. And you were in WWE for so long, and I'm sure you heard it, fucking mid-carder, oh, you should come to AEW. And he finally comes to AEW, and now all of a sudden it's just like, oh, the cuffs are off. I can do what I want.
Honestly, listen, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to keep this one light, because neither one of us like him in the first place anyways.
Oh, I can't stand him.
So, and listen, like, I think Ricochet is a prime example of an incredibly talented performer who is just absolute dog shit on the mic. And to me, it was even proved by Logan Paul when they had their feud that he could just not talk on the mic. He was more focused on doing his flip out of the ring. Hey, cool. That's great athleticism. You can put on some pretty decent matches. You've had some on the indie circuit with a lot of the AEW talent that is currently there, like Will Ospreay. But dude, I don't want to hear you speak. I just don't. I think you're an incredibly talented performer, but as a human being, I think you're a douche.
Oh, he's a complete douche. He definitely lucked out in certain ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think she's extremely talented. She's more talented than he is.
Yeah,
And
I actually agree with you.
I think he's a good performer in the ring. I wouldn't say great. I think he's good.
He's great. Listen, you put on shit with Pac and with Ospreay and other guys that are there that have the same kind of work style as him, and I think it'll work out. But otherwise, if I'm not interested in the match because there's no build-up, that's the thing that Tony needs to work on, which is what I was saying earlier. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
I feel like he is going to be as demoralized as he was in WWE and AEW within 6 months.
Well, I give it 6 months after that. I give it a year. But I don't disagree. It's hard to disagree because this is like this, right? You brought in certain guys to do certain things. You have not always succeeded in that, him being Tony Khan, and this applies to Ricochet too, which will be clear in a second here. But you brought in talent that have done nothing, right? You've brought in talent that some have remained your favorites, and they're featured every week, for whatever fucking reason, right? Your Danielsons, your Swerves, your MJFs, your Mercedes Monets, your Kenichi Okadas, which, ironically enough, you know, Okada being one of these guys that is another top guy that is only featured in the mid-card. Again, like, these are guys that you can put on great matches with. But if he doesn't do that, then this guy who already had a big nasty mouth about, like, oh, WWE's not doing anything with me. Well, no shit, because you suck and you complain. Like, dude, like, it's gonna happen here too. because he's just going to be one of those guys that Tony can't fit on TV every week because he has a bloated roster and he's paying way too many of them to sit on. It's not a good business model, my guy. It's just not.
It's a terrible business model. He doesn't have enough TV time. He doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough brains, I think, to book a long-term show. I think now that he's definitely hot-shotting, considering the fact of that at Grand Slam, it has been announced it was supposed to be Darby Allin versus Bryan Danielson. And then Moxley and Darby Allin had their promo, and Moxley said, Daniel's not making the show after what I did to him. And so it was then announced it was going to be Darby Allin and Jon Moxley for the number one contendership at Grand Slam. Later in the night, Nigel McGuinness pleaded to Tony Khan that he wanted a match against Bryan Danielson. So Bryan Danielson, who was originally not supposed to be on the show because he was beaten so badly, will now be facing Nigel McGuinness at Grand Slam in New York at Queens, Arthur Ashe Stadium, which they have done now. This is their fourth year in a row doing it. First year they drew 25,000 people. The next year was around 13. I think last year was around 10. This year, as far as I know, they were at about 3,000 tickets for that event. That is going to be a piss hole in a snowbank.
Well,
that's.
I was going to say shit show, so that kind of lines up.
Yeah, it's just, how are you going to be able to make that look good? Because Wembley, you were able to make it look somewhat okay. There was some noticeable tarping and darkness effects to make it look like that, but you somewhat did okay for Wembley, which apparently is in the 42,000 range. That was the last I heard. Where now you're in Arthur Ashe, where last year you did like 10,000. And now you're at 3,000. It's a 70% drop. And you're booking this on Bryan Danielson and Nigel McGuinness in a match that no one really asked for because that was something from fucking Ring of Honor 15, 20 years ago. And...
But there's Dan, this is Tony Khan.
Shut up. Shut up, Tony.
No, but long-term storytelling, we have it now.
No, you don't. Okay, so now, if it was supposed, Darby Allin was supposedly going to be getting the world championship. I read that about a month and a half ago. That was the rumor that Darby Allin was going to be the next AEW champion. And they were going to set it up where he was going to do that in Tacoma because apparently he's also from Washington. So that was going to be the play instead of the Swerve Strickland deal, which I kind of agreed with.
Sure.
But now it seems like you're going to pivot and you're going to go to Jon Moxley again, which I don't know why. Do you feel like
I always knew he was going to be multiple-time world champion for them, but the way they're doing it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, unless you're pulling some major rabbits out of the hat for this, I'm going to take back the company. How? Like, how are you? Who are you going to bring in? Who's going to come in and help you?
That's the thing, man.
Like, who else is in the free agency wire that you can get? Because
we'll get Shane McMahon, my son.
Of course.
You'll also get me, Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
I'm coming in, and I'm going to run it. No, you're not. Your days are over, sir. It's over. Especially after this documentary comes out. Oof.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
I've heard the word double burial.
Oh, I fully expect it to be.
They said double burial. WWE not happy. Which I think is part of the reason they were just like, oh, you want Roman Reigns? You can fucking wait. Like.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think they'll get Brock back anytime soon at this point, so.
Oh, God. I'm only annoyed by that because of the video game perspective.
Oh, I know.
Because it's just like he's sitting, it's like, this could be great.
I know. Just
he's right there. Just unlock him.
Just put him in the Hall of Fame so we can get him back next year. Or at least as a DLC.
Stupid.
I don't want him.
It's stupid. Like, it's just dumb. He wasn't involved directly. It just, stupid. Yeah, but I understand TKO's kind of stance on it too, because, you know, this is a very sensitive subject, a very sensitive matter, and you bought something that this guy was so idealistic wise to, which is why they're moving away from a lot of his models, because they have announced that next year they're going to go from they're going to be at like 200 dates now total, like as far as the live event business is concerned. So you add the pay-per-views and then you add 3 shows, so you're looking at a couple house shows a month, and that's it. Yeah. Like European tours, and that's it. Like they are going to be, which I fully expected that they were going to go to this model anyways. This is kind of what WCW did in the early 90s, because they really weren't drawing. The difference is now is that they are drawing.
Yeah.
But the fact that, too, you know, the live event business, it never really was profitable. The only reason it was in play for so long was because Vince thought that model was the be-all, end-all, which it really wasn't. Because...
You know what's funny about that is that I would argue that he's kind of right. It's not profitable.
It's not.
But hold on, let me say this part. So I think their way they're doing it now is because they're going to these different countries, having like a couple weeks worth of house shows, and then maybe having the PLE a week or so later.
Yes.
And it's like, that has been working for them. They were in so many fucking countries this year. Not only just for the PLEs, but some of the house shows too. Like they spent a lot of time in Japan. I think they were in, like half of Western Europe probably. You know, like they were in a lot of fucking countries this year, and obviously they're in Canada pretty often anyways, as part of the contiguous United States. You know, they're in Puerto Rico, and just like all these different fucking places that they're reopening those markets now is like real opportunities.
Yes.
Whereas with Vince, it's like, all right, we're down in Houston this week, so you're gonna do 2 house shows and a TV. It's like, no, dude, you don't need to do that. You don't.
We're not doing that anymore.
That model is definitely broken. The new one, I think, works for them.
Plus, I think it's just it's unnecessary because you're traveling. You know, you're sending these guys to the road all the time, and I'm sure that there's probably some people that are going to be like, "Oh man, am I going to make money?" No, probably not. You're probably going to make the same amount of money. You're just going to be working less, going on the road trips and all this stuff, and it's an expense because every time you put those trucks out, you got to take and you're paying these guys to set rings up. You got to do lighting. It's just there's so much shit to go into it, and it's not the 80s anymore. It's not the 90s, technically, even when, you know, you relied on your house show business. You relied on gates. You relied on all that stuff because television rights fees weren't really a thing back then. Yeah. Like, I think you had to pay to be on USA. So so it was, you had to get the live business going because That's how you made your money because your TV wasn't there. Now you're a TV business. You're getting paid so much money from Netflix. You're getting paid so much money from USA. You're getting paid so much money from CW. And that's not including your live attendance shows that you're actually running, especially now that you're going to Europe all these times, and all your merchandise, which you've now outsourced over to Fanatics, so it's really not done in-house anymore.
Yeah.
So they've streamlined everything, which is why they're able to make as much money as humanly possible that they have been able to make. And I'm not saying that they're the best company because of the fact that they're making money. They're the best company and they're the most profitable company. And also they are probably one of the few companies, including Hollywood right now. I think WWE is one of the most creative outlets in entertainment because they at least are trying and at least creating new stars or in the process of creating new stars. And I think that is really important nowadays. Because you look at, I said earlier about how Hollywood, I feel like, is creatively bankrupt. And then I look at WWE right now and I'm just like, yeah, you're not there yet. 5 years ago you were, but you're not there now.
Well, that's why they need to change who was running the show and who was writing their creative and everything else. Listen, it's a fucking script. At the end of the day,
Ding
like,
dong,
he's
dead and gone.
Yeah.
He's
That
never
too.
coming back. He's gone.
No, don't ever say never, because that's like
He'll never come. He's not. He's not though.
I know he's not.
He's never gonna be back. People are just like, he's done. He's gone. He's gone forever. We want Tony Khan to be gone forever.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all. That statement, not at all. Listen, it's funny talking about back then and the here and the now to it because, I remember like back in the day when WCW was doing like the house shows and stuff. Oh, Goldberg lost. The streak's over. It's like, the next night on Nitro or whatever. The streak is 153 and still standing. Like, bro, he just lost at a house show. No, it's not.
How did he lose? How did he win 30 matches in the last week?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just...
Yeah, that too. Yeah, not for nothing. But it got to be a little much. And, like, there's shit like that. There's the continuity errors there. The house shows with WWE are like, more intimate, more fun. You kind of see that, too. Whereas, like, the WCW shows back then, and probably the AEW shows, if they ever did house shows, it's just, like, the same bullshit.
I think they did one.
I think they did one. Yeah. They used to have, like, Dark and shit, too, which, was botch central, apparently.
There's just highlight videos of
Dark because of all the botches.
Dark and Elevation.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Elevation! Welcome to AEW Elevation! Yeah!
Welcome to my stupid show with a stupid name. That's how I felt. But, it's just, I don't know, man. I want them to succeed, but I
do.
I just want Tony to fail. Sell the company, I already do.
I do.
Just sell it. Get out of the wrestling business. Go back to, playing football executive with your father and have a happy day. Go away.
Try to drive Trevor Lawrence into a good part of his career instead of just driving him crazy.
I would just love the Cons to sell all their sports franchises because I think they own like 3 or 4. Just go off into the sunset. Be happy with your money and never come back. Can't you be like that guy in Challenger Deep and just go too far or something like that? I don't want to wish death on anybody, but just go away. Just go away.
He's not even the most annoying NFL owner right now because Robert Kraft has been pissing me off all fucking week.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Where just like,
shut up!
Football. I did not give a shit about football this week.
Well, I didn't care either.
It's so magical.
It's just the fact that he's bitching about the fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame yet. And
dude, what was my response to that? Go get a massage? Like, just shut up, Robert. Shut up.
I actually agree with Felger for once. He's like, all I have to say about it is he's a fraud and no one likes him in this town. And I'm just like, I kind of agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was my statement. It's just like, well, it's hard to disagree. I mean, listen, like, he brought us like so many Super Bowl wins by getting the staff that he got. Mainly,
yeah, exactly.
Mainly Bill Belichick and continuing to re-sign him, as well as Tom Brady, and as well as keeping re-sign him. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate some of the things you've done with like charity and stuff as well. I'll say that as well. However, kind of like with me and John Cena, I still fucking hate you. And I think with Cena, at least, he seems like a good human being, a decent human being, at least. So I'll give him that extra credit above Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft's just an old, rich douchebag.
My problem is that this is the same man who chased Bill Parcells out. And he ended up chasing Bill Belichick. And not only chased Bill Belichick out, who might be the greatest coach in the history of the NFL, but chase him out and built an entire documentary
just
around
the guy, man.
How he was the reason why things fell apart. Which they probably, but I don't think Bill was the problem at the end. Because it's obvious the way that Robert's coming out with, I should be in the Hall of Fame. It's just like, oh, I see how this is. It's about you now. It's about your legacy. It's not about Bill's. It's not about Tom's. It's about your legacy. Which it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't be. Look, it's if you've ever seen The Last Dance with Michael Jordan.
Yep.
Jerry Krause said it best and told him, he's just like, players don't win championships, organizations do. Jerry, you're fucking wrong. And Robert, you're fucking wrong. Yes, organizations give you the resources, but Robert Kraft was not the reason that the Patriots won 6 Super Bowls. He just signed the checks. There's a big fucking difference. Bill's the reason you're there. Bill's the reason you got 6. Brady's the reason you have 6. Not because you were on the field making the calls and personnel decisions. And when you finally started to tell Bill, hey, look, I want to be in the personnel decisions, is when shit went haywire. And also probably chased the greatest coach in the history of the NFL out of this town. Yeah, so the Patriots won last week. With this new coach. But the fact is that I fully expect...
No disrespect on Gerard Mayo here.
I'm not disrespecting Gerard. But if things start to struggle down the line, and if next year things are not figured out, and Bill Belichick is hosting the Lombardi Trophy for either the New York Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, thinking of where else he can land.
Bro, he could land at Foxborough High for all we know. I mean, anything can happen.
He might like the media. He might not want to go.
Yeah.
I still can't believe he joined Instagram, for Christ's sake. I almost threw myself off. I'm like, what am I watching? Why is Bill Belichick on Instagram? And
I'm just
maybe
assuming it was because his 24-year-old girlfriend, but you never know.
She probally showed him how to do it.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
honey, let me show you this. There's filters and everything. And he's just like, yeah, all right, let's do this.
Okay.
All right, yeah.
Maybe a bologna sandwich.
Yeah. I gotta call Ernie.
Oh.
Yeah, it's he probably had the summer of his life though, because he didn't have to do any like scouting or anything. So he was just probably on the beach and like in his boat the whole fucking time. And
I'm under the impression that Bill Belichick does not even know how to have fun in the first place. So I'm sure he was miserable the whole time anyway.
no, he probably had fun because he's just out there and he's just like, yeah, this is great. Like,
Yeah, just like that though. That's why you assume that he's like actually just like hardcore depressed underneath it all. That's great.
I miss this.
Ah, shit.
I love Bill. Like I'll always love Bill. I actually saw him on the. I think he was doing DoorDash or some commercial. I saw him this week on. I was just laughing hysterically, and Steph is just like he still can't smile in the fucking commercial. I'm like, no, so that's part of his charm. Like,
Charm. Yeah.
It's still going to be interesting to see where he ends up next year. I think it's going to be an NFC East team.
I think he's going to end up in the media, honestly.
You think he's going to just stick around in the media?
Yeah. Yeah. I think he's starting to realize it's a cushy job that he can do.
Yeah, it's a cushy job, but
if he has the itch, he has the itch. But he's also older now. He's past 70 at this point, I think.
He wants that Giants job, though. He's always wanted that Giants job. He's always wanted that job, and I think that they're gonna, especially with Daniel Jones the way he's fucking playing, he's probably gonna have a good shot at having that job next year. And he
needs to go anyways.
If Jerry Jones finally tells McCarthy to take a hike, that could be the Darth Vader moment of Palpatine just going to him and just being like, I need you. Come to the dark side. And him
There's
just
so many
having to go.
I feel like there's so many teams that probably need new head coaches in the first place. But I think both New York teams need a new coach.
He ain't going to the Jets. That is
I don't
not
think
fucking
he would
happening.
either, but I'm saying
he is not going to the Jets.
They also need a coach, man.
He'll go to, I think, the Giants. I think Philly, because I that fucker's always on the hot seat because he has the goddamn emotional. He has the emotions of a fucking teenager that Nick Soriano, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah,
fucking asshole he is. And then the Dallas job because McCarthy is, of course, he's gonna fuck up.
I can't believe McCarthy still has a job. Honestly,
I can't believe they get Dak Prescott $240 million over 40 years.
There's that too. Yeah.
I mean, it is more money than Deshaun Watson is getting paid now, though.
Sean's not going to be paid much of anything, I feel like, at this point.
It's like a Roger from American Dad moment. It's just like,
I kept it where I kept it, so that was on purpose, because I wasn't about to bring it up, but I don't think he's gonna be making much money.
Not anytime soon.
And if he is, he's paying it back out to somebody else. So
yeah, there's gonna be some lawsuits probably. That's part of the problem. I mean, they could they could void his contract. They could somehow go with that. That would be the only way. That would be the only way that they could probably even get anything out of this. I mean, it's a massive cap hit, mind you. A complete dumb decision on their part to try to get this guy when he had all those accusations put up against him, and they still went out and made that trade. It's just like, this is asinine.
Yeah, it's like they had the ability at that point. I think it was well known. If not, it was like within a few months. And at that point, I would have been like, all right, yeah, we're nullifying this trade, bye. Or something. And then instead of that, he re-signed him for more money the next year. And then he gets hurt. And then he's still dealing with this other bullshit, too.
And the fact that Cleveland fans are probably kicking themselves in the ass right now, because if you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield, you have to be just sitting there and wanting to kill yourself. Because you're like, what? 80%?
Yep.
80% completion rating?
Yep.
How many touchdowns?
Yep.
4 touchdowns.
Yep.
Like, you have to be sitting there as a fan base and thinking to yourself, how is this even humanly possible that this number 1 pick that we all thought sucked now is elsewhere and killing it? And now Tampa Bay is in a position where it's like, not too bad after this Tom Brady era thing. Not much of a rebuild we have to do. We have everybody, especially considering the fact that Mayfield signed cheap and so did Mike Evans.
Yeah.
So they really have kind of handled themselves well down there. But yeah, I love it how we talked about football, not knowing much of it, but yet I have all the bases. The thing about it is I don't watch the games. Again, I watch a lot of things that kind of get me caught up on stuff where I don't have to kind of go watch 40 hours of goddamn game footage. I don't know how people can watch Sunday Ticket. I don't know how people can watch Red Zone. All these games, it's just like it's okay. How many streaming services do you have to own now? Amazon,
5.
Peacock, Fox, Paramount. I don't even think Fox has a goddamn one, unless it's FX. But
maybe. Sometimes you need your own provider app, depending on what you're watching, and then YouTube. So 4 to 6, depending.
yes,
Listen, even if I had all those streaming services, it still isn't enough for me to just sit there and watch all those games.
it's just I have a hard time being able to watch sometimes. I mean, thankfully now Raw is going back to 2 hours, which is good. Because it's just, I remember saying I wanted wrestling to be on like all the time, and I'm glad it is. But at the same time, it's like I don't have enough time to watch all these shows in the same week.
Yeah, that's the
And then you got a PLE, and then it's just, do I want to watch Dynamite? No. Like,
But the thing is, it's like trying to watch one show after the other like that is already tough in the first place. And you know, like some of the ways the SmackDowns end, it's like, how do you really follow that up? Let me follow that up with AEW. Gag. Like, just
I want to watch
it.
Rampage.
Yeah, I'd rather just like eat my own vomit. But like, I don't know. I get it. Some people are so into wrestling they'll watch any wrestling they can get. I don't know, like I said, taste.
The question is, how many stars is Dave Meltzer going to give my cat?
It might, I don't know. It might be zero.
Fuck you, Dave.
I agree.
That's a 5-star cat at least.
5-star cat.
Yes.
Oh, darn.
I think that it is we have exhausted all we could this evening.
Well. Yep.
Yeah, the AEW thing was going to be the big topic because it's been such a big talking point this week. Even though I think both of us have just been kind of just like, I hate to come on here and bash them again, but they've done something stupid, so we need to come on there and hold them accountable.
I knew we were talking about this the whole week. You said it in pre-show, like, oh, we didn't even talk about what we're doing this week. And I'm like, it's pretty obvious what we were doing. I didn't think we needed to even talk about it.
Apparently, Tua just got another concussion.
Oh, well, there you go. Great job. Gotta love that Miami offensive line.
Well, that'll that's probably it.
Yeah, listen, if you have Tua in fantasy football, we apologize, man.
Sorry. Not a good 2 weeks for Miami. Oof. Especially the Tyreek Hill stuff last week.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I guess we will sign off for the evening. Thank you for tuning into Pro Wrestling World Talks here on YouTube under Diamond Podcasting Productions and on Spotify under PWW Talks and, of course, Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your local podcasts, your worldwide podcast. not going to try to be Mr. Worldwide here, like Pitbull. Fuck. All I'm saying is that
What is the Step Brothers now? Prestige
we
Worldwide?
are worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide. We're here to fuck shit up.
Can you please shut up?
Who's driving the boat? Oh my god!
Will Ferrell's become woke now too. Apparently, I was reading some comments from him this week, saying that if he could do it over again, he would not wear like women's clothing when he was on SNL. It's like, the Janet Reno thing was funny, right?
It's like nobody cares.
Like nobody gives a shit. That's you just trying to be relevant and just saying, "Oh, what I did in the past was wrong. I should have realized that." Oh God. You didn't mind it though when you were cashing the checks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing about with these people. It's just like,
when I was
if you're
on the
mad
hooch.
about it, or you're upset about it and you regret it, just give the money back. Just give the fucking money back. No, you won't do that though.
So all I can think of is that gif with Dave Chappelle with the money on his stomach and just like, oop, and holds it up.
Yep.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Like, nope, not doing that. Never mind. Fuck you.
That's all they want to do. They want to try to throw out a political statement. They also want to try to be trendy, but at the same time, they don't want to sacrifice their monetary gains from that situation. All they want to do is they want to sit back there and be retrospective and say, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." As they look at their bank account, there's fucking 7 zeros in there. It's like, great. Fucking cool.
Yeah. Listen, you're not wrong. Like, it's fucking shitty, but you have a point.
And I liked Will Ferrell.
That's
for
what I was
Christ.
gonna say,
Like
too.
it's
Yeah,
like
I liked him.
I liked him up until probably like
Anchorman 2 for me.
See, I didn't even watch that.
It's not that it's not funny and it's nothing to do with the movie, but I'm also trying to like time frame in my brain of when that movie was, because I feel that was the limit for me of enjoying his like movies, his acting, his humor, whatever. That was peak. That was it. There's nothing after that.
And the funny thing is that I'm, as much as we shit on Adam Sandler, I am really starting to get into the more and more I hear about Happy Gilmore 2. I'm like, what? Okay, I got to check this out now.
You know why I shit on him though is because of not only just some of the shit acting he's done over the years, but man, without him, Kevin James wouldn't be nearly as popular as he is now.
Well, you can blame Chris Farley for ODing for that too.
That's true. It's true.
But Chris Farley also would have made Paul Blart Mall Cop a hell of a lot funnier than what the shit that fucking Kevin James has done and given us.
Yes.
Like, he was already a name anyways before with fucking King of Queens, so...
But I don't think it would have been as popular without the freaking tag-along fucking bullshit that Adam Sandler does with a lot of actors under him.
Even though some of them I'm fine with.
Listen, dude, I'm fine with a lot of them, too.
Chris Rock, I'm fine with. David
Right.
Spade, I'm fine with. Schneider.
But not even them, like, some of the other guys, too, like, fucking from Grandma's
Colin
Boy.
Quinn.
Yeah, like, exactly.
Oh, him from Grandma's Boy.
There's a couple of them. There's a couple of them. But, you know, like, what was that one? Brian Neely, I think was his name? The one that passed recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, even that, dude, it's just, oh, come on. No.
Norm, too. Norm was in a lot of
Norm
the
was
films.
another one,
Yeah.
too. Right.
And then, you know, even Adam was the devil in Dirty Work, actually, if I recall, when he was having his fever dream. It's just
God.
Adam Sandler, while Gary Coleman is just like riding in the car with him. It's just hilarious. Norm is severely missed, like sorely missed. Yeah, it's just like another one that just you had no idea was sick, and then just wake up one day and it's just like, well, he's dead. Like, oh, great. You know, and it's, yeah. Because I'd want to hear his opinion about certain things that have been going on. Just be like, well, I think it's because we're all screwed. Like,
I mean, at that point, all you really say is like, "No shit, Norm." Yeah, we know that.
it's just, yeah. He would just make it completely obvious of like, well, we're all screwed. Yeah, I know. I mean, thanks, Norm.
Yeah.
Like,
How do you feel about our current climate? We're screwed. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks, Norm. Didn't fucking know that already.
But yes, I think it is time we finally leave, though, instead of just like a false finish here. Well, we kicked out at 2. No, we're going home on this one, people.
Yep.
So enjoy your weekend. Thanks for listening here on Diamond Podcasting Productions and Pro Wrestling World Talks, and of course on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And we will see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.